How we doing? Nothing like a little Ed Milet to get you fired up before the event. So my name's Clint, and Clint Cooper. I'm born and raised here in the Atlanta, Georgia area. I predominantly wholesale now. I've been in real estate for about 2.5 years now, and this is my business partner, Rhen Bartlett.
What's up, guys? Rhen Bartlett. I'm actually out of Mobile, Alabama. Been wholesaling now for over 6 years. Recently exited a company that we had built to about $25 million in revenue, closed 100 transactions a month, and got a lot of battle scars to be able to have those numbers on my resume. So excited to be here with you guys. You got a clicker?
She said she was gonna.
Okay.
So you can just run through the intro. And this is mainly going to be a quick, short intro. The reason why we're not really going to do a presentation here is because there's just a wide variety of people. You know, people that are just starting out, people that are trying to scale, and we don't want to make a presentation that's over somebody's head or too elementary for somebody. So we're going to mainly have this as a panel. But our company name is Padley. That is our wholesale business here based out of Atlanta and Mobile, Alabama. We have multiple offices. And right now we're doing about 97% wholesale. We're doing some fix and flip as well. And, you know, personally, me, Rhen, and Tyler, we buy rentals as well. But we've got about 40 employees. We're doing anywhere from 20 to 30 deals a month right now. And we are headed to doing about 100 deals a month. That's the plan, getting back to the level that, you know, Rhen was at before. And we think we can do that just in 2 markets here.
Yeah.
You know, kind of why we've been able to do what we've done in such a short amount of time. You know, we've always been really curious, and we've always been hiring excellent mentors. We've taken massive action, and we've been really focused on our people. You know, I was talking to somebody the other day, and they were asking, you know, how have you been able to do this in such a short amount of time? And I told them it's just our people. We have really good people. We recruit heavily. And then the strategy that goes along with it, and then the execution. And then why we're here, we're just here to help you guys, right? Whether you're just starting out and doing your first deal, or you're looking to scale, we want to be able to bring you guys value. So that's why we're just going to open this up for a Q&A.
So I'll start with some field questions, and
Yep.
I'll kind of pick up some of you guys that have questions, but I kind of want to hear a little bit more of your story, Clint and Rhen. Just from, you know, the ground up, right? Like, what was your first deal like? Why did you get into real estate? That type of thing, I think is important for the mindset. And then, what practical steps did you take to now doing, you know, 30 deals a month?
Sure. So
same question for you, Rhen, when he's done.
Yep. So started here, you know, grew up here in the Atlanta, Georgia area. Went to college down at Georgia College in Milledgeville. I got a degree, but man, I really didn't learn anything in college other than have a good time. So, but after college, I went to work for my dad in the logistics field. We built his business up pretty successful. I was pretty much set to be, you know, an owner of the business one day, take over the company, and we got it to multiple 7 figures a year. And then after that, or during that time, I had a side hobby in the sports betting world, where I built a pretty massive business in itself. Did that for 3 or 4 years, had to leave my dad's company because it just got so big, and ended up having a separation between me and my business partner, left that company. And then I sold my house at the time because I didn't know what I was going to do. You know, I pretty much paid off my cars. I sold my house, downgraded big time, didn't know what I was going to do. And when I sold my house, I'd owned that house for 1 year. And I made over $100,000 on that house, and I did nothing to it. That's when the light bulb went off for me, and I decided to get into real estate. And so what I started doing was I started reading books. I hired a coach. I got into a mentorship. And slowly after, you know, that was in December of 2021. So, or I'm sorry, December of 2020. So really my first full year was 2021. And I did 30 deals that first year, did over $1 million in profit. My strategy was basically buy and sell to hedge funds. I was actually buying the deals, selling them to hedge funds, did a few flips in there as well. Hired my first employee that that year is actually Tyler in the back, and he's our COO of our company now. And since then, have just been obsessed with real estate, and we have changed our strategy to wholesaling. That happened early last year, and since then, we've just continued to scale. About a year ago, I had the opportunity to partner up with Mr. Bartlett here. And at the time, we were doing 5-6 deals a month. And he was our coach. He was mentoring us one-on-one every week. And we were getting better every single week. And I found that I had the opportunity to partner with him when he left his previous company and made it happen. And since then, it's been like a rocket ship, because Rhen is one of the highest level dudes you'll ever meet. He, if you look at, I say this to people and I don't want to get his head too big, but it was like LeBron James came available on free agency and we got him. And so since then, we've been growing the business. We're at 40 employees now. At the time we had 7 or 8, and we're doing 20 to 30 deals a month.
Same question for you, Rhen.
Yeah. So he says high level, then you hear this country accent. The two don't really go together, I know. But the thing is, he left out the most important part of that whole story is his boy turned him on to these fresh J1s, right? Turned him on. And then he bought me a pair, which makes it even sweeter. So, but my story is, my story. I grew up in Alabama, and guys may say this here, but I grew up across the tracks. I don't know if they call it that here in Atlanta, but it was bad area. And I grew up, run with the wrong people, hung with the wrong crowd, and ended up, after high school, went to college, dropped out, was a server in a bar, and actually got fired and had to figure out something to do. So I taught myself how to make websites, sucked at sales doing that. And so I started selling everything in my house to make rent. And this guy comes in, he pulls up, he's in a nice car wearing a suit. He gets out, he's talking on the phone, he walks in, looks at what I was selling, he's like, nah, walks out, and I said, hey, I stopped him, I said, what do you do for a living? And he said, I own an advertising agency, and I said, I'm coming to work for you, and he chuckled at me and got in the car and drove off, and I called him every day for about a week, and he finally said, listen, man, I don't know who you are, but I'm tired of you calling me, come in and interview with the guys, and if they like you, we'll talk after that. So I went in, interviewed, they loved me. He called me up. He said, man, I appreciate your tenacity, but I don't have any money to pay for you. And I said, I'll work for free, whatever. I knew I had no skills, no resume, not a lot, but this guy was open to giving me an opportunity to come in. And I took advantage of that opportunity and got pretty good at building websites and thought I was going to be a website developer until I sold one on accident and got a commission check. He come in and gave me $2,000. I'm like, what is that? He goes, that's your commission for selling the website. And I'm like, I'm in sales. And so from that point forward, I studied everything I could about sales and eventually ended up being a knucklehead and getting in a fight with that dude. And he fired me. I went and worked at another ad agency and we did similar there. I helped that guy build his ad agency. I don't know, maybe he did like $500K a year in revenue. We got it up to 3 million. Went to another ad agency and pretty much doubled their revenue. And then I started making content around that, and got it on the wholesale company in Mobile, took notice of that, and he showed up and made me a job offer. I turned him down, and then he put partnership on the table, and then we got to talking. Ended up happening, I think he was doing 2 to 3 deals, maybe 5 deals a month during that time. And I come on and, over 5 years, we grew a pretty large wholesale company, probably one of the top 10 biggest in the nation, maybe. It was a pretty cool journey. I learned a lot of mistakes. I learned a lot of lessons, made every mistake humanly possible, but continued to just get 1% better every day. So pretty neat little journey now that I reflect on it. But as far as my first deal, I didn't do my first deal on my own. I joined a company that was doing a couple deals a month, but our acquisitions rep quit, and my partner was not the best partner, but in another light, if you look at it, he was actually a great partner because he made me go learn everything and gave me nothing. And so I can remember being at the first kitchen table. I think the seller wanted $55,000, and my offer had to be $35,000. And I went outside and I called him. I'm like, look, they're not where they need to be. He's like, well, get the contractor. You don't work with me anymore. don't need you if you can't close deals. I was like, woo, okay. Somehow I went in and got that contract, and I can remember shaking at the table as they signed it, you know. But it was a pretty good experience, and what it showed me is if I want it bad enough, if my back's against the wall, I can make it happen. I can close the deal. And it was pretty cool to reflect back on that. And then we just started getting better. Similar to Clint, we didn't know, there's no like playbook, there's no instruction manual for building a wholesale company, right? You can't go and buy a McDonald's. You buy a McDonald's franchise, they give you a manual, a franchise manual of exactly what to do, where to put the pickles, where to put the ketchup, how to toast the buns. So the only way we knew to shortcut that was get around people that are doing bigger and better things. And I can remember the first time we went to a mastermind, there was a guy there that was doing $4 million a year in revenue, and everybody treated that dude like the king. And I was like, God, 4 million in revenue, that's amazing. What do we got to do to get there? And I just went and picked his brain for hours and went back, and every single thing he told us to do, we did it in like 3 months. And I called him back. I said, hey, all that's done. What do we do now? He's like, what do you mean all that's done? I'm like, yeah, you told us to do this. You told us it's all done. He's like, buddy, it took me 4 years to do that. How many deals are y'all doing a month? I'm like, I don't know, this many. And he's like, that's as many as we're doing. Wait, how much are y'all going to do in revenue this year? I'm like, you know, whatever the numbers were. I don't want to quote it, but so I seen that and I was like, damn, if we passed him that quick or on the track to passing him, who's next? And so we just did the same thing. We went to the next biggest person we could find and got everything we could get from them. And just then, you know, we joined a group like Collective Genius, where there's folks in there doing crazy things. And we just, you know, executed as quickly as we could, failed forward as quickly as we could, and just kept learning and kept learning. And then the next kind of ceiling in our business was me, because I was a piss poor leader, right? I treated people like crap. I thought that because they were there and worked for me, that they were my slaves, my servants, whatever. You know, they should be honored to come work in my company. And in fact, it could not be further from the truth at all. And so once we got called out on that, really went down that leadership journey and got my head right, because, you know, as leaders in your business or your company or your sphere, you're the ceiling, right? As high as you can take it is as high as you are. And you got to really hope to attract people. Great talent will not come work for people that they don't believe in, people that they don't respect, people that they don't admire, and people that don't have a vision to do bigger and better things. And so I had to become that person that could attract, hire, train, and retain great people. Like Clint said it earlier, like the reason we do what we can do is not because of us, right? Like I'm not that smart, I'm not that gifted, but I'm good at treating people really well and helping them get what they want. And so once we got that figured out, the rest is just patience, which we preach a lot, and execution. So.
Yeah, and I didn't go into my first deal, but it's funny. About 2.5 years ago, I was reviewing my first deal with Hector and Vince. You know, I was in the same mastermind as them, and I didn't know I had a deal. I ended up making 130 grand on that first deal, and I remember to this day being on that Zoom call with them too and reviewing the deal, and I wasn't sure I had something, and you know, ended up closing. Ended up being a really big deal. So I just
That's a
wanted
big
to bring
first deal.
Yeah, it was a big first deal. So.
Awesome.
Mine was like 5K.
Yeah, mine was 11 and never topped 130. So that's awesome, guys. This is what we're gonna do. This obviously, like, there's so much to unpack here in these two stories. We need some questions, right? So we want to make this as interactive as possible. I'm gonna go ahead and just say, like, there's some chairs back there. If you want to grab a chair and come over here to the center room, go ahead and do that right now so that you guys can be closer and ask your questions. But we want to just pick their brain, like very much like Rhen did to the guy that was on top. We want to do the same to them, right? So if you guys don't ask questions, I'm going to ask questions. So who wants to be the brave volunteers to start with one question? Go ahead. Oh, you were yawning or were you raising your hand? Oh, okay, good. Go ahead.
How did you get your first deal and what did you do to get it?
My first deal came from Facebook, Atlanta Real Estate Investors Facebook group. was scouring it, was looking at every deal I possibly could. And I'd probably comped 100 plus deals before I did that. But one came across the board. It was in, what was it, Houston, Georgia, which is, up 85 North. And I saw it and I was like, this looks like a pretty good deal. A realtor posted it, which was weird because most of the people that post on there are investors. And I showed up, and I was the only one who showed up to the viewing he had set up, and put it under contract on the spot. And that's literally how it went. And I ended up flipping that house and, put a bunch of money in it, made a lot of mistakes, but still ended up off very well on that first deal. So
that wasn't a wholesale deal, that was a basis.
no, so that first year, and I kind of think it was a blessing. I was buying everything. I learned how to raise money. I learned how to do project management. I learned construction costs. So when starting out, it's never a bad idea if you can take down a deal and learn how to flip a house. It's not a bad way to start because you learn so many other skills associated with real estate. And now we wholesale, predominantly, but we have a few flips going on at all times. We buy rentals and we can raise money. We have, we're full investors now. We're not just guys who can only wholesale or, just one trick ponies. We're actually investors now.
I disagree. Well, maybe.
Okay.
If you ain't got no money like me when you first started, don't flip a house. Wholesale, get the quick cash, stack your money, right? Clint had some money, right? He had a pretty decent exit at his previous business. He had 10 or 15 grand.
Sure.
If you don't have money, it's a lot more risk. Take the wholesale deal, stack your cash, and then look at flipping once you get some cushion.
But it is good to get the experience of
Sure.
raising money.
100%.
Yeah.
Go ahead. For Rhen, you say you was learning a lot about sales and marketing during your time. What are some books or something that you would recommend?
I'm glad you asked.
He's going to give you about 100 book recommendations right now.
I think when I first got started, so there were 3 books, 4 books. I'm just kidding. I think the first really book that opened my eyes and got me like, a friend gave it to me. It was 10X by Grant Cardone, right? That kind of got me fired up. That was like my hype video that was here. I was like, man, if this guy, he come from kind of the South where I come from, everything wasn't given to him, I can do it as well. And then the next book that I picked up and read was How to Win Friends and Influence People. Really good book, right? Talks a lot about how to interact with people and how to kind of win friends and influence people. And then there's another book that's an old school classic, The Law of Success by Napoleon Hill. Really, really, those 3 books are like some pillars. There's some other ones, Jeb Blunt, Fanatical Prospecting, Sales Acceleration Formula, and then I'll give you one more because we are giving you too many already. Never Split the Difference is a great negotiation book on sales. And like a referral, you could go close the deal. You get a phone call, hey, my friend's got a house they're looking to sell. Grandma died, he inherited the house. But one day I can be out there same day as an appointment, close it, wholesale it, close it the following week when title comes back and clears. But, in general, and another problem with, not a problem, but another thing to understand with Tyler's point is that's an average, right? That's not a median. There's a big difference when you're analyzing your data across the board. And we're also doing mass marketing, and there's some flaws in our systems and processes and switching CRMs. And so, if you're asking like, what's the best way to go get a deal and close it quick? Maybe. Is that why you asked that? Maybe. I mean, why did you ask?
I was gonna ask you again. Like my next question was gonna be like, what is your right now your marketing strategy? Like the direct mail, PPC.
Yeah,
Facebook?
everything, all the time. Yeah.
You might be asking what's your most effective marketing.
I got. So Rhen, if we're looking to get our first deal, what is the step by first wholesale deal? What is the step-by-step process for those of us that's trying to get our first wholesale deal that you would recommend the new person that's just getting into wholesale?
Do you got money or do you not got money?
No money. Zero money.
No money. All right.
$50 in the back of your
50 bucks. Gotcha.
Go door knock foreclosures.
Yeah.
That's probably what I would say.
I mean, yeah, there's a couple different ways that you could go about it, but you know, I would take the trick to marketing. Really good marketers, whether you got money or you don't have money, is being omnipresent, right? And to me, what that means is everywhere all the time. So I'm going to look and take inventory of what ability do I have to get in front of people, right? Because wholesaling, you know, there's great sales strategies, there's great operation strategies, but at the end of the day, in its simplest form, it's giving the right offer to the right person at the right time. It does not, I cannot make it any more simple, right? If you want to know how to get a deal, right person, right offer, right time. And so, you know, if I don't have any money, you know, Facebook, right? I'm going to be posting every day, right? I buy houses, mixing it up, you know, calling realtors, posting in all the groups. You know, a quick, easy way to do is find a wholesaler that can't sell a deal and go sell it for them, right? If you know who the buyer is, just daisy chain it, right? I know plenty of people. I got tons of students that make $200,000-$300,000 a month wholesaling other wholesalers' deals. So that could be an easy way to do it. Don't come wholesale mine though. Beat your ass. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I mean, when I first started, you know, real estate, how I got deals is I went on Google and typed realtor in my area, and I just hit that list. I called them all, put them in my phone as realtor, then their name, and I text that same list every 2 weeks out of my iPhone, not even mass messages, manual, copy and paste, copy and paste, copy and paste. And I probably did that first year. I bet just from that list of 200 realtors in my phone that's still there today, probably 500K in revenue. And last week, closed 2 deals from a realtor that 2.5 years ago I first made contact from. She brought me 2 deals. I'll make over 50K on each of those as flips.
Yeah, there's another pretty slick trick. So to Clint's point, like realtors, like networking and doing deals through realtors, 98% of all real estate transactions are done through the MLS, right? There's probably, hell, I don't know, in Mobile where I live, there's 400,000 people, there's 10,000 realtors. I don't know if anybody knows how many realtors are in Atlanta, but it's a lot. Everybody's a realtor, right? So, you know, if you could just tap in, if say there's 20,000 realtors, if you could tap into 1% and 1% of those realtors send you 1 deal a year, you're not doing too bad, right? Then you can leverage things like Zillow. You can literally go into Zillow and there's a filter with a drop down where you can put keywords in there and you can put motivated, click save, and Zillow will literally email you every house that says motivated seller in it every morning. You call the realtor, make them an offer.
Are we still talking about wholesaling, or are we talking about flipping?
Wholesaling, flipping, whatever. You can, you know, how you wholesale a deal with a realtor is in the contract. You put your company name or assigns, and that lets you assign that contract.
Okay, so the thing I come across is finding distressed homes and can't find the homeowner or who's to own the house.
Mm-hmm.
How do you guys get those deals if you can't find the homeowner? How do you go about it? Do you do REOs or what?
You want that one?
Yeah, I'll take that. So I mean, there's a lot of different ways, right? I'll go as deep as you want, but if skip tracing, you want to go deep. So you would start by skip tracing them, right? And if you don't know how to do that, I'll explain it. You go to the county records, you put in the property address, find the homeowner, and then if you come up empty on skip tracing, right? You can do a deeper skip trace, and there's an app out there or a website called Family Tree, which is really good at connecting the dots and finding the people. You know, and if you can't find the homeowner, go knock on the neighbor's door and say, "Hey, who owns this house? It's vacant." They're probably gonna say, "Why are you being nosy?" And saying, "Because I want to buy it and fix it up. It's a crack house. Like, aren't you tired of living next door to this? Help me find the owner." And if you go knock all the people down the street, somebody's going to at least give you a clue to who the owner is. But skip tracing is the fastest and easiest, right? Then you can go and run down a family tree search, which can help connect the dots, and hopefully you can find the kin, call the kin, they'll put you in touch. So, I mean, there's just some research that you would have to do.
For that approach of going in person, if you think that someone is living in that home, would you suggest to just go in person and try to speak with them directly?
Yeah, go knock on the door. It's the best way. Maybe they're the owner.
So what if they're not the owner though? Like maybe the house went foreclosure and we don't know because you don't know what happened, just distressed, and maybe it did, and the bank
Ask. Yeah. I mean, if it's been foreclosed upon, there's going to be a record of that, right? You should be able to see it, whether you look at the history on Zillow, it's going to show you a record, pre-foreclosure, foreclosure, auction, sale,
Okay.
right?
Yep.
So you'll be able to see that record there.
Yeah, that's the nice thing about Zillow is it records all sales on market and off market versus if you're just have access to MLS, you're only going to see the deals that sold on the MLS, not the actual ones that, you know, there's no pinpoints. It will have a record of it, but it's not going to show as a closed comp recently like Zillow does. Yep.
Does wholesaling work like in any market?
Yes.
Yeah.
I hear a lot of times people say, you know, I'm in LA, it's too competitive a market. Or,
do you mean like any geographical market or any economical market? Like good market, bad market, or like San Diego or Phoenix? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, geographically, I think you can wholesale in any market in America. I don't know what wholesaling in Mexico or Europe looks like, but in the United States, you can wholesale a deal in any market, in my opinion. I don't care how competitive it is. You're probably, you know, the people that tell me they're in too competitive a market to wholesale, they're not trying hard enough, or they're not learning from the right people enough.
Yeah, Gino wholesales in Europe.
One day.
And as far as the economical market, I think absolutely, right? Like, so in the stock market, for example, people make money when it's going up, people make money when it's going down. 100%.
Something guaranteed that's going to happen at all times is there's going to be boatloads of closings on houses, no matter what market you're in, all the time.
So there aren't any markets that you would say would be off the table?
Geographically?
Yes, that you would say we should avoid.
So I can't answer for you personally, but for me, I'm targeting markets that have a higher median house price point, right? Especially for wholesale, and I'll explain why. And at my previous company, we were in 9 or 10 markets all over the Southeast. And when you're in that many markets and doing that many transactions, you're able to accrue a lot of data. And what we found pretty consistently is our wholesale fee trailed about 10% of the median house price, right? So here in Atlanta, I think the median house price is somewhere around 300,000. You know, if the market isn't an absolute mess, where our average profit per deal tends to trail around 30K. Down in Mobile, median house price is, I think, 147,000. Our average profit per deal is what, 17? So right around in there. And so your primary driver of revenue and profitability is your average profit per deal. And I want bigger average profit per deal. I want to do less deals and make more money.
And that's probably why, you know, the places like California, that's probably where you're going to get your biggest spreads, because you're wholesaling $1 million plus houses. There's plenty of opportunities to make 6 figures on those deals.
And are those figures calculated off the ARV or the price of the home as it is?
Which figure? Median house?
So if your median house, the ARV is 300,000. That's rehabbed house, ready to.
So it's going to be an accumulation of just any. So median price point is pulled from MLS data, and so it's just a matter of, did the house transact through the MLS?
Okay, so it doesn't necessarily.
Doesn't mean ARV,
rehab
doesn't mean rehab. Yeah,
Gotcha.
It's just median price point on per sale.
Yep.
Right, can you go more niche even on like counties with that data? And do you see that works as well? So for example, Smyrna, we're in Smyrna, the median here is different than like Lawrenceville, right?
Yeah.
You see that translates the same? Like if we wanted to focus on Smyrna, Georgia only,
Mm-hmm.
do you think that translates the same?
Yeah. So we got an office here, but I don't know jack about Atlanta, so I don't know what you're talking on these counties. You can say North Atlanta, South Atlanta, North. You know, I understand, but I think I get what you're saying. I think that the probability of doing a transaction. So I want median house price to be relatively the same in an area, right? So for example, in Atlanta, the median house price, let's just call it $300,000. That is not the median house price in Buckhead, right? Median house price in Buckhead is what? I know that's like the LA of the South.
Yeah,
$600,000, $700,000. People that live in there, it's probably much less distressed area, right? And if a house does come available that's distressed, people are going to overpay to get their hands on that property, you know, to be there, right? They don't care if the countertops are outdated, they're still going to pay a premium. And so it's very hard for us to get a deal though. And so quantitatively speaking, when you're trying to adjust for your cost per contract, which is pretty like that's how much marketing did I have to spend to get a property to close, it's going to cost you a lot more, and they can be much fewer and in between, right? And so that is competition in itself, and I want to be in a place where there's not as much competition. And so we want to see and do deals maybe in the outskirts of the perimeter here where, you know, people aren't going to overpay. They don't lose their mind when a house comes for sale because one never comes for sale, right? So we want like the blue collar type people to have medium price point. I don't want to, you know, play in the super white collar area because it's out of my wheelhouse, you know. Does that make sense?
We on Monday we contracted a deal in Buckhead that will probably make over $100K on.
Yeah, now it'll definitely not happen. Bunch of hands. You're calling. I'll call on them. Right here. We'll go right here. I'll make my way around. Right here.
So with wholesaling, how do you guys come up with like your max available offer? Is it like a certain formula you use, or is it just like, you know, you look at certain comps and you just kind of like see what, you know, like people that pitch homes and how they're buying and stuff like that?
Yeah, so we're mainly looking at as-is value. You know, we are going to look at the ARV and we're going to look at the rental prices, but we're seeing what that house is worth and what is it selling for. You know, looking comparisons. If it's a fixer-upper, let's look at other fixer-uppers that are selling in the area and what those are going for. So we are more paying attention. What is the house worth as is, and how can I pitch this house, this distressed asset, to an investor, and show them data that, you know, this is what the house is worth. Here's a comp. Here's a comp. This is what it's going to be worth once it sticks up.
So there's no like specific formula like you guys use to come up with like the max available like offer.
Well, we're gonna.
Like when you're talking to like a seller.
So when we're plugging in our formula and talking to a seller, we're trying to hit our average profit per deal of $25,000. So whatever it is, whatever fees we're going to have associated with the sale, we're going to plug in a number that spits out. If we can get to 25K, that's the lowest number we're going to go. If we get it any deeper, then we're going to make more.
Yeah, but so we have a max allowable. What's the trigger point? What's the discount? 80% for Tyler for our
cash versus
just the MAO. What's it trigger at? 80%.
It's just the as is value. However much that we've talked to the seller in depth. We've gone through the whole process. We know that this house is going to sell somewhere between 250 to 255.
Yeah.
We deduct realtor costs because we're going to most likely sell on the MLS. We're going to deduct, closing costs, all the costs, photos, inspection fees, all their costs associated with the deal, and it's going to spit out our max offer, which is just literally what we know the property's going to sell for. You subtract everything out, and then we have a built-in market adjustment, so we know that some of our guys are a little trigger happy and like to comp a little bit higher because they want to pay more money for the houses. We can go and sneak in a field in there that says, hey, listen, you've been paying too much for houses. The last 5 deals you bought, they were bought too high by $10,000. So we can put the $10,000 in there and adjust it down like that. But basically, it's not a complex formula. It's like 5 fields on Excel. What we think it's going to sell for, we know it's going to sell for. We're really good at coming up with an as-is value. And then you deduct all the costs of it and it spits out an offer. And that's where we can go up to at the max.
Yeah, y'all see who the brains are of the operation. But man, look, there's a bunch of ways. Like when we first started, it was 0.7 times ARV minus repairs minus spread, right? Then we started listing stuff on the MLS and our hot areas. If it's a super hot area, you can go 0.85, 85% ARV, minus repairs minus your spread. You just got to know the main thing, the key element. The only thing that matters is what you can sell it for. Right? That's all that matters. Doesn't matter what you buy it at, it's what you sell it for. And hopefully you can work in your spread inside of that. And so regardless of what percentage, and that percentage varies, right? If you're in the hood it's probably 0.5 minus repairs, minus your spread, right? If you're in Buckhead, it might be 100% of ARV minus your spread, minus repairs. And so it's very dependent upon what you can sell it for. What is the area take for? You know, you go off for 0.7 minus repairs on a house in Buckhead, you will never buy it. Gino will come in and buy it and make a 50K whopper on you, right? So, you know, you just got to know what you can sell it for. That's the most important part. And that's what they're saying when they're talking as is value and all that stuff. That's the only thing that matters at the end of the day is what you can sell it for.
Back there for you.
Yeah, there was some back here.
Are you guys listing your double closings and assignments on the MLS?
You a cop?
It's something that I've looked into.
Yeah, we list everything.
Yeah. So we contract our deals direct to seller. So on the acquisition side, we sign them up direct to seller, and then we list them all on the MLS to sell them. Well, we have some terms in our purchase agreement that allow us to do so. We have a limited power of attorney that we get signed by the seller, and we tell the seller we're going to list it on MLS, and then we dispo it. And sometimes we novate it depending on the type of financing, but we sell to all types of buyers. We sell to cash buyers, investors. We sell to families buying their forever home. We sell to everybody, and we can use any type of financing.
Well, I'm seeing it more and more. So, and I've heard like, I don't know, I've been looking to get in with a local attorney maybe and like look into what paperwork I should be having my sellers sign. I mean, I'm a broker myself, but it's
I knew you were a cop.
it would really eliminate like a lot of our dispo process. I'm sure you were able to streamline your dispo just throwing these things on the MLS. It's a huge resource.
Yeah, 100%. Not only, like I said earlier, like 98% of all real estate transactions are done through the MLS. The MLS is the ultimate buyer's list, right? We're now able to work in an asset class that we were not before able to touch. And so it does streamline, but it also comes with a whole bunch of challenges, right? Like a bunch of brokers calling saying, this is illegal. Why are you doing this? You know, blah, 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 blah. That's just the tip of the iceberg, you know? Realtors are super challenging to work with, right? Nobody went to college to be a realtor. So, but actually Nico's in the back. He can take care of all your questions. He's who lists our stuff on the MLS for us.
Yeah.
I believe you. Anybody that says they're not a cop is definitely a cop. Yeah, no, I'm with you. Nico lists all our stuff on the MLS, right?
Yeah.
There's even a discount code. If you use the code Warrior, you get a discount. Sign up through me as an affiliate. And right there, raise your hand.
Yep.
He's the pretty white guy in the
Because
back.
and you know, we changed this process in our business before Rhen came on board. Rhen kind of coached us through it, but we realized that my investor list, my cash buyers list, they want to pay 70 cents on the dollar. What the MLS allows you to do is even those fixer-uppers you list on the MLS, you're selling them at 85 cents on the dollar. Even though you're paying realtor fees and some double close costs, you're still coming out way higher than you would if you're selling it off market.
Hey guys, quick plug in too. This process they're talking about is actually pretty complex. Unless you get like training and coaching, we actually list our stuff with Nico as well. And Clint was actually the guy that kind of gave us the heads up on how to do this. So you know, you have that barcode behind you for their coaching that they literally will walk you through the process because, it's very complex, and if you don't do it right, you can get into some serious legal trouble. So you have, you know, you being a broker, but those guys that are wholesaling, you know, a couple of deals, you want to list on MLS and take that lead, like quick plug-in for their coaching and, you know, what they're doing. They'll walk you through that, but very complex. Nico raised his hand. Go talk to him, get his phone number, and he'll help you also walk through that process. So just wanted to add that because
it is super complex. You got to have your paperwork tight. I spent hundreds of thousands of dollars getting this paperwork tight, and then Gino left his notebook open, and I stole his contract. That's what we use now. But no, it is. There is some complexities, but once you understand it, right? There's a lot of complexities in any real estate transaction. It's like for most Americans, the single biggest asset change of their life, right? The average person sells a house 2 times in a lifetime, and it's the biggest asset that they own. So there's paperwork that has to be involved in it, especially when the mafia, aka the Realtor Association, gets involved. But at the end of the day, it can be navigated. There are, ways to do it above board and make it legit. The biggest struggle that we find in doing this, or the people when they try to adopt this model, is you got to tell the people you're wholesaling the house.
Yeah.
You don't have a shot at doing this, and a lot of people are scared of that, right? And that's why wholesaling gets a very bad name, because you may not want to hear this, but if you're going out and buying a house and telling them you're the buyer and you're going to wholesale it, you are a liar. And all kind of drama comes with that stigma, and it's why wholesalers serve a very good purpose in real estate, because most realtors walk into a house, they say, fix the floor, fix the leaky sink, change the roof, call me when you're ready and I'll list it. And it leaves in people, they don't have the money to do that, right? So they're stuck and the house gets worse, and the fees go up, and now they're in a situation where realtors just aren't trained to help them do that. We are. Right? We serve a lot of people, and I've had a lot of tears at the closing table because of a situation just like that. But if you can do it above board and do it the right way, dot your I's and cross your T's, everybody wins.
Yeah, you got to be honest on both sides of the ball too. Just, we tell our sellers that we're going to wholesale this house and we're not the end buyer. And we tell the realtors that we're working when we're selling the deal, hey, we're wholesaling this deal. We have equitable interest. We're under contract to buy it. And we're actually going to do a double close at the closing and close the same day.
So we don't say it just like that.
A little bit.
You get the point.
Yeah.
Don't go out and tell them that tomorrow. You won't have any success with that. What you got right here?
So how did you go about raising funds for your first deal? How did you go about raising those funds?
Well, I called all the rich people in my network and started working a sales process. And I got told no, and I got told no over and over and over again until I landed on the right person. And I think in the beginning, it's going to be tough. When you have zero track record, it's going to be very tough for someone to trust you with their money. But as you build up that track record and build up that trust, you just got to do the deal one time with them. You do the deal one time with them and pay them back and pay them the interest they deserve. They're going to come back and do it again and again and again. I have one lender who's probably lended on 50 plus house flips for me.
One of the biggest things to that point when you're raising capital is a lot, for me at least, when I first started going and asking people for money, that's exactly the stigma that I had, right? Is I was asking for money. The truth is you're providing them an amazing opportunity to earn 10, 12, whatever, 8% on real estate that is insurable, that they hold collateral on, which no other investment on earth. The stock market burns, their money's gone. Your house burns, they get an insurance check, right? So they are collateralized the right way in the asset. And so you have to be able to convey that opportunity to them, because they're trusting you as an operator. They're not trusting the investment, because the investment should be solid if your LTV's right. And so you just have to reframe your mindset from not that you're asking for money, is that you're providing an opportunity.
Yeah, and just paint the best case scenario of, this is the interest you're going to earn throughout the process. And hey, worst case scenario, if I get foreclosed on, you got a smoking hot deal with a bunch of equity in it. I've talked to my lender before, and I'd be like, this is one you want me to get foreclosed on because we got a lot of equity in it.
Are y'all pushing for in-person, or if it's not needed, will you lock it up on the sales side?
We are majority virtual right now. We do run some in person, especially in Mobile, in the market that he's in. But we have found with us being in Atlanta, it can be a long traveling day going to appointments. We could have our sales rep traveling for 2 hours to appointment and then 2 hours back, and they could have been on the phones the whole time. So Atlanta, to me, is not the best market for it, but a smaller market like Mobile, I think it's great. And you're going to have a higher success rate with in-person appointments. We were at CG last quarter, and Eric Brewer there, he's one of the main guys there, and he was talking about how his percentage on contracts virtual is 11% and in-person contracts is 25%. So he has way more success in person, and I think you can, right? You're going to be able to buy the house better. You're going to be able to see exactly what's wrong with it. You're going to be in front of that person and be able to talk through it a lot better than over the phone. So I think it's easier to buy a deeper deal in person, but for us in Atlanta, with how far the travel is, we feel it's best to do it over the phone here.
And Clint, you're sending people out to take pictures only, right?
Yeah, we've got an inspector on our team that goes out, takes pictures, puts a lockbox on the door.
And that's really the only in-person, when you're doing virtual, that goes out to the property.
Correct, other than the buyers.
So beforehand, though, you spend probably, I don't know, Tyler, but an hour on the phone vetting that deal out beforehand, correct?
Sure. And, we used to have, kind of when we, over the summer, we were having our disposition reps go to all the house and actually inspect it in house. And we realized we could be more efficient by hiring an inspector, sending him out to the property so our disposition reps could be on the phone selling deals, doing revenue driving activities versus being in the car half the day, driving all over Atlanta.
Are your dispo reps, are they just receiving the inbound calls, or you have them calling realtors in the area and off-market buyers too, creating that like outbound call?
Yeah, Clint, what are you doing?
All of the above. So we do list our properties on the MLS, but we are very focused on calling investors, calling realtors, tap rooting realtors. There's so much you can do. I still think the best way is going to be to sell that deal on the MLS, but I have my reps sell deals on Facebook all the time. Still.
So how do we get on that list? For those of us who really appreciate what you all do and value it, but we want to hang out on the investment side, how do we get on that list?
The buyers list?
Yes,
So you plugged in your email over there when you signed in?
yes.
You'll be on the buyers list.
Awesome.
Let's try to get some folks that haven't asked a question yet.
Y'all also creative deals too, like subject to seller finance?
I'm personally against it.
You're against it?
Yeah, I'm only taking down, and so I've gotten caught in some bad lawsuits, right? Let me give you an example of what happened. I sat at a seller's table. I promised her I'd save her from foreclosure. We cried together, we laughed together. She fed me cornbread and collard greens. I went out and I wholesaled the contract, and the guy I sold it to never made a payment. Who's responsible for that? Technically him, but me, right? So I had to fix it, and the person that's happened twice, right? And so I'll take one down and I'll keep it because I know I'm going to service the debt come hell or high water. Yeah, I'm going to keep it if it's a good deal. I know there's a lot of people out there doing it with great success. I just don't have the heart, if something isn't serviced on that debt, to look a seller in the eye and tell them I got your back and then depend on somebody I don't know, right? I probably wholesale one to Clint, right? Or somebody that I know very well will take care of it. But most of the time, that's not how it goes down when we're just, selling notes. So me personally, I'm kind of against it.
Right here with the red shirt, I know you've been waiting to ask a question. Yeah.
I was talking to Clint earlier about you guys like putting this stuff on like MLS, and like how we do it in ours, we give like two offers, like novation offer and a cash offer, but do something like you guys do it in one. What is that word track like with your acquisition agents? Like when you're like explaining it, tell them get away, like how's that?
Like, what's the negotiation process like? To just give one offer, or what's the talk track like?
So like, what's the word track like when you're explaining it? Like you're putting it on the MLS, because with us, let's just say we have our cash offer, which we can buy cash, actually wholesale it. Then we have another like white glove service offer there, which we tell them to put it on the MLS. But
Yeah.
I was talking to Clint, he was telling me that's kind of confusing, which I can understand because we ran into that quite a bit. You give me two options, I got to sit and think about it.
Yeah. And they're always going to take, yeah. So kind of the way that we approach it is we price anchor them with that cash offer, and we negotiate from there as hard as we can. We get them down until we can't get them down anymore. Then we take ourselves off the table and say, well, look, now that we're not buyers on the house, what are you going to do? And what that allows us to do is, now that we're not a buyer, it relieves the pressure, and now the real deal killers come out. There's, we find out, are there other players in the game? What are their other options? Things like that. And then, we huff and puff and put on our acting hat and say, well, I don't know what you're going to do. I can't buy it. And then we get this bright idea that, oh, there is one other option. Would you be interested in hearing about it? And they're like, wait, what other option? Well, I can get you more money, but I would need just, a little more access, a little more time. This is what that would look like. Helps a ton of people just like you that really want to make sure that, it's not all about speed. It's not all about cash. It's really about getting the most out of the equity in their home.
Makes sense. Can you guys talk about the difference between coaching, mentorship, and mastermind? There's a lot of like lean going on between the three. Kind of like
Sure.
explain the difference.
You want to take that?
Yeah, sure. So, whoever's here and you're wanting to do more deals, you should get coaching. You should join a mastermind. I don't necessarily think there's, a huge difference between, every group out there. Now, there's definitely some that you're going to get more value than others. And there's some that are more catered to newer people in the market. And there's some that are more catered to higher level. And then there's some that are catered to the experts. So, I can't really speak on, different programs and whatnot, but I've been in them all of them. And what I can say is I've taken stuff from each and I've grown, and I wouldn't be in this position today that I'm in without all of that coaching, all of that mentorship, all of that mastermind. I've probably, in the 2.5 years I've been in real estate, I've probably had 7 different coaches, been a part of 3 different masterminds, probably spent about 150 grand, 200 grand on just this stuff. And it's the reason why I'm sitting here today talking to y'all, is because I've just been willing to invest in myself, invest in myself, and invest in myself. So whether you guys are a part of one now or you've never been a part of one, you should continue to invest in yourself, because that's going to give you the biggest return on investment.
I think my answer would be the primary difference for me, at least in a mastermind and coaching, is a mastermind, you're going to have access to a lot of people and a lot of information, and nobody to tell you, based on what I see inside of your business, you need to be going to do that now. It's going to be your job to be extremely proactive, to go out and, get what you can from the members in the database and then determine what you need to do with it. But there's also power in a mastermind because it's typically a great community, right? People that are going through the same struggles that you're going with, and gives you somebody to talk to. Everybody wants to wear that crown until it comes time to bear it. Once you're bearing it, you find very few people are wearing that crown. And so a lot of times we don't have people to vent to. Like our homies, they don't have the problems we have anymore, right? They're still bitching about a boss that wants them to work this Saturday. And we're like, bro, I work every Saturday. And they're like, I thought you owned your own business. I do. Yeah. Why you do that? You're crazy. That's what we talked about, right? So, you get to hang out and you get to be around a lot of like-minded people. And that's, man, I have my best friends are in the masterminds. They're not the dudes I play pickup basketball with in high school. I can promise you that. They're the people in that mastermind that are trying to do big things and improve their lives. And, some of my best friends are guys from all around the nation that otherwise I would have never even known their name, never in a million years. And I think that is extremely powerful. And the one that we're all in, Collective Genius, it has changed my life 100%, right? And so there's power and community there. And then on the coaching aspect, there's good coaching and there's bad coaching, and there's coaching that'll serve a particular season in your business, and then you don't need them no more. You get what you get and you move on and you go find another coach that's doing, bigger and better things. And I think it depends a lot on your personality, right? And what you need at the season in life that you're in, or the season in business that you're in. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, me personally, on my journey in 2.5 years, I was always looking, who's at that next level? Who can I go learn from? Who's at the next level? And my coaches, each year, each month, got better and better and better. And you should always continue to do that, to try to continue to level up, because you got to be rubbing shoulders with somebody who's been there before and done that.
Got to reach up in relationships.
Yep.
And reach down to give back.
Before you get a Tyler, what are you doing to streamline your business? Because a lot of us have 9 to 5s, or all of us pretty much at one point in time have 9 to 5. Before you get a Tyler, before you get your first employee, are you using VAs? Are you using something like that? What processes were you implementing at that time period to kind of your growth, like projected even higher than what you want?
Well, before Tyler, I was driving revenue like crazy and making an absolute mess. He was the one who came, put the brakes on, cleaned it up, built out the processes. All I was doing was hustling. In the beginning, my start, all I did was hustle, make as many relationships as I could, talk to as many people as I could, and look for that next deal. Now, I made some money, but I also, made a mess of the business too. And that's, when I found Tyler, I wanted to find someone the complete opposite of me. Somebody who was good at the things I wasn't good at, someone who complemented my skill set well. And we couldn't be more polar opposite. And that's why we work well together. And he covers systems, processes, and I'm good at driving revenue.
I was the Tyler that got hired, but I hate that shit. So I'm glad I'm not the Tyler. And I'm super thankful for you, Tyler, by the way. So glad I don't have to do that anymore. But I think you want to hire to your weaknesses and live in your strengths, right? So, I know a guy to this day. I don't know, you guys may know who he is, but his name's Doug Hopkins, right? He is the OG of wholesaling, right? Dude's been wholesaling before Alabama was a state, right? I mean, he's like 60 years old. He does one thing. He runs appointments every single day, and he's probably the richest guy that I personally know. I mean, he's got like an $85 million net worth, and he runs seller appointments because it's what he is. There is nobody better than him at closing deals. And then everybody else does everything else, right? And so I would say, what are your strengths? Hide your weaknesses, right? For me, a lot of the times, like when you're first starting out, you can't afford a Tyler, right? Like, Tyler's an expensive dude. Look at his shirt. Look at his shoes that he's wearing. But I'm sorry, Tyler. But a really good executive assistant can change the game. And they're not Tyler. They don't demand compensation as Tyler would, right? And a lot of times a really good executive assistant, because most of us probably, if you're in this room and you're doing this, you're an entrepreneur, you're a high driver, right? You're really good at getting shit done and you're really bad at the details, right? Does that describe you at all? Or are you the opposite?
I mean, you have to be good, half to be don't.
Sure, right. And so, that detail-oriented paralegal that is working a job that she hates at Brooks & Brooks Law Firm for $35,000 a year, she would love to come clean up your messes, right? And it could play an instrumental part of letting you go do what you do best, which is closing deals. Or maybe you're really good at the spreadsheets. You need to go find a closer, just so you don't have to have a Tyler. It's a luxury. It's nice. But the biggest thing I would tell, and I tell people, is don't wear the label that I'm not Tyler, right? I'm not good at this, so I'm just not going to do it, right? Up your skill set. Become good at whatever it is. Get to a point where you can have the revenue to afford a Tyler and then hire one.
100%. And I think you have to go do everything yourself in the beginning. If you don't have money and the resource, you got to go put up some revenue, build that reserves, and then start making some smart bets. My first smart bet in this business was hiring Tyler. I didn't know he was going to be the caliber he was going to be and as good as he is, and I probably got kind of lucky in that sense, but that was the first smart bet I made, and I couldn't have done that if I hadn't gone out and closed $500,000 in revenue before that.
Right on. I want to get one more because I got to go. I got a call I got to be on. Somebody that hadn't asked a question, I think back here.
So I might have missed this part of this question for both of you. When it comes to hiring in that same vein, are you guys more prone to hiring for your weakness, or are you prone to hiring what you're good at so you can coach and replace you?
In the beginning, hiring for my weakness, right? Like my first hire, executive assistant, right? Somebody that can do all the stuff that takes from my cup and not fills it up. I want to be in my genius zone, which when it feels like I'm never working, right? That's where I want to be. I don't want to do the things that deflate me, where it feels like work. That's going to drain on your energy, right? So I can go run seller appointments all day and go home at 7 o'clock to my daughter, and I feel like I just woke up. If I'm sitting in a spreadsheet all day and go home to my daughter, like, don't talk to me, get away from me, and I don't want to live my life like that, but you have to self-identify what that is and then figure out how quick it is to get there. But for a season, you're going to have to grind, right? It ain't a choice. You don't have the luxury maybe quite yet. They told me you own the top 10 collision repair center in Georgia, so maybe you do. But, at the end of the day, like, you have to self-identify with what is your genius zone? What do I love to do? If they didn't pay me to do it, I'd do it anyway. And that's where you need to live. Okay. Thank you guys so much. If y'all are interested, we have an amazing coaching program, best in the country, guaranteed to double your revenue in 90 days. You get your money back. Clint will write you a check out of his personal account. Thank you guys.
Thank you guys.
Hey, put your hands together one more time for these guys, man. Listen, the rest of the time that we have is to network. Where I met